Reclaiming Your Life, A Guide to Overcoming Substance Abuse, by Dr. Jonathan Schuma. Introduction. In today's fast-paced world, the allure of addiction can manifest in various forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, food, technology, or even relationships. Understanding and overcoming addiction is critical for personal growth and fulfillment. This book serves as a comprehensive guide to help individuals navigate the often tumultuous journey of recovery and emerge with a newfound sense of purpose and relevance in all aspects of life. Chapter 1. The Nature of Addiction. Addiction is a complex, multifaceted condition that can affect individuals physically, emotionally, and mentally. It is characterized by the compulsive engagement in behaviors or the consumption of substances despite negative consequences. Understanding the nature of addiction is crucial not only for those struggling with it, but also for society at large, as it provides the foundation for compassionate care, effective treatment, and prevention strategies. What is addiction? Addiction is often defined as a chronic, relapsing disorder that leads to compulsive behavior and the inability to control the consumption of a substance or engagement in an activity, even when it brings harm to the person's life. It is not simply a matter of willpower or moral failing. Rather, addiction is a medical condition that alters the brain's chemistry and functioning, impairing an individual's capacity for self-control and judgment. The core feature of addiction is the development of tolerance and withdrawal. Over time, an individual may require more of a substance or behavior to achieve the same effects, tolerance, and will experience physical or psychological discomfort when attempting to reduce or stop withdrawal. These changes create a cycle that is difficult to break, as the addicted person feels compelled to continue the behavior or substance use to avoid withdrawal symptoms or to experience the sought-after effect. Addiction can take many forms, and not all addictions involve substances like drugs or alcohol. People can become addicted to behaviors such as gambling, shopping, eating, or even digital technologies like video games or social media. In all cases, addiction profoundly impacts a person's life, damaging relationships, careers, health, and overall well-being. The science behind substance abuse. Substance abuse, whether involving alcohol, prescription medications, or illicit drugs, affects the brain in profound ways. Neurobiology plays a key role in the development and perpetuation of addiction. When a person consumes a substance, it typically stimulates the brain's reward system, specifically the release of neurotransmitters like dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical messenger that regulates feelings of pleasure and reward, motivating behaviors that promote survival and well-being, such as eating, socializing, and reproduction. However, substances of abuse, whether alcohol, cocaine, or opioids, hijack this system, flooding the brain with an excessive amount of dopamine. This intense surge in pleasure reinforces the behavior, making the person want to repeat the experience. Over time, the brain becomes accustomed to this overstimulation and adjusts its functioning to account for the excess of dopamine. This adaptation leads to a phenomenon called neuroplasticity, where the brain's structure and function are altered, diminishing the ability to feel pleasure from natural rewards, and making the person increasingly dependent on the substance to achieve the same effects. As addiction deepens, the brain's reward system becomes less responsive to everyday activities, and the individual may experience anhedonia, the inability to feel pleasure from normal life experiences. In an attempt to alleviate this state, the person may continue to consume the substance, creating a cycle of compulsive use. This biological mechanism explains why addiction is so challenging to overcome. The brain's reward system has essentially been rewired, and the person's impulse control areas, like the prefrontal cortex, become less effective. This results in diminished decision-making ability and an overwhelming compulsion to seek out the addictive substance or behavior. Recognizing different forms of addiction. Addiction is not limited to substances. It can also manifest as compulsive behaviors that do not involve drugs or alcohol. The following are common forms of addiction. 1. Substance use disorder, SUD. Substance addiction remains the most well-known form. This includes addiction to drugs, alcohol, prescription medications, and nicotine. Each substance has its own pattern of use, withdrawal symptoms, and health consequences. For instance, Alcohol. Regular heavy drinking can damage the liver, brain, and heart and lead to mental health issues like anxiety and depression. Drugs. Substances like opioids, cocaine, and methamphetamine alter brain chemistry, often with deadly long-term consequences. Opioid addiction, for example, is associated with overdose deaths and widespread public health crises. Nicotine. Tobacco addiction is a major cause of lung cancer, heart disease, and other serious health issues. 2. Behavioral addictions. These involve compulsive behaviors that offer temporary relief or pleasure, but become maladaptive over time. Behavioral addictions are often overlooked or minimized because they do not involve substances. However, they can be just as harmful. Common examples include Miranda's gambling addiction. Compulsive gambling can lead to severe financial ruin, family breakdowns, and emotional distress. The brain's reward system becomes conditioned to the rush of winning or even the potential for winning, perpetuating the cycle. Food addiction. Overeating or binge eating can become an addiction, often linked to emotional regulation. Food addiction can lead to obesity, diabetes, and cardiovascular diseases, as well as an unhealthy relationship with food. Sex addiction. This involves compulsive engagement in sexual behaviors, despite negative personal or social consequences. It often co-occurs with mental health disorders like depression or anxiety. Internet and social media addiction. The constant pursuit of likes, followers, or validation from online platforms can lead to addiction. Research has shown that social media can trigger the release of dopamine in the brain, reinforcing the desire to check notifications or post content frequently. Gaming addiction. Video games, especially those that are highly immersive or reward-based, can also create compulsive behavior. For some, gaming becomes a way to escape reality, but excessive time spent gaming can lead to social isolation, academic decline, and a lack of real-life responsibilities. 3. Work addiction. Workaholism. Note, workaholism is often glamorized in modern society, but it can be a form of addiction when an individual feels an overwhelming urge to work at the expense of their physical health, relationships, and mental well-being. Work addicts may neglect sleep, exercise, or family time, believing that their value is derived solely from their professional achievements. 4. Exercise addiction. Exercise in its healthy form is beneficial to both physical and mental health. However, some individuals may develop an unhealthy relationship with exercise, feeling compelled to work out excessively. This type of addiction often stems from body image issues or a desire for control, but it can lead to physical harm, such as injuries, and psychological issues like anxiety or compulsive behavior. 5. Shopping addiction. Compulsive buying. Compulsive shopping or buying things to an excessive degree can be a form of addiction. Often people use shopping as a way to cope with stress, depression, or anxiety. The immediate satisfaction of purchasing items provides a temporary sense of relief, but it often leads to financial problems and emotional distress. Conclusion. Addiction is a condition that transcends simple definitions or assumptions. Whether it's a substance, a behavior, or even a thought pattern, addiction hijacks the brain's reward systems, leading to compulsive and often destructive behaviors. Understanding the science behind addiction and recognizing its many forms is the first step in addressing and managing this condition. For both individuals and society, this knowledge provides hope for recovery and the development of more effective treatments that address the biological, psychological, and social aspects of addiction.